January the 20th. I want to welcome everybody back to our online segments of the digital imaging, digital drawing class for the web production techniques. This is, I guess, technically like the third class because we do have labs on Wednesdays. So let's go ahead and start the lesson now. I'm going to share my screen as always, and I'm going to ask you if you can see my screen. This way we have everything working accordingly. I'm a little bit under the weather this weekend and today. So by Wednesday, if I'm not 100%, I'm not going to jeopardize you guys to be in person. Same thing if you guys are not feeling well under the weather, stay home and attend virtually as I always make sure I'm connected when I do my lectures. All right, so let's go ahead and share my screen and let's get started. um, Alrighty, so here we are. Last time we had some fun with the business card. Um, we did the actual business card of athletic association. So we did that on Wednesday. We did a hands-on exercise. Before that, we covered the introduction to Illustrator, the digital drawing program. I hope all of you have the application by now. I know some of you were still inquiring about getting the programs. I do have a folder here called logo exercises. So I'm going to make that visible for you today, and you can download that. Okay. Wednesday, I'll do the class 3. I mean, I know I did a lot of classes already with you, but I'm still hovering here so I can thoroughly explain all the methods that are being introduced. So technically, this was class 2 and 3, this logo exercises. Let's go ahead and download that on the desktop. All right. And then this Wednesday, we'll do the class 3, the Android exercise. This is a really fun one as well, where you get to learn some advanced drawing methods and techniques in Illustrator as well. All right. So far up to now, we've been doing a lot of logo techniques, which kind of coincides with one of your projects or assignments, I should say, that's due. I think it's, let's see when the due date for that is, just to remember. It's doing the 22nd. So it did give you a few days for this. So it's due Wednesday, this logo, this business card logo. So by Wednesday, if you need a little extra time, I might extend this by the end of the week. I guess I'll find out Wednesday how you guys feel. Since it is your first assignment, I want to give you some grace period and get you familiar with, working with deadlines, assignments, projects to slowly will you into the process, right? So I know it takes a little time for some of you, especially if you haven't done the school thing. This is the updated version of this assignment, in case you missed it. I explained this in the last video. We took a business card, an existing person that wanted this redone, and we came up with our own version. Um, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with because it'll be nice to show different options. And if he does pick the design, your design, you can put this on your portfolio and say that you did something like, I guess, a real job, if you want to call it, or a logo. Let me just see. I think I'll have this here. So this was the final design we came up with. He changed the number 6 to the S because I don't think he wanted the number 6. I did talk to him. I did tell him the good news that we're doing this. He was really happy and excited to see it. So based on the changes that I did for the Sixers, Toronto Sixers Athletic Association, his recommendation was to change the number 6 to the letter S because there's already a company that uses the Sixers logo with the 6 on it already. So legally we had to change it up and stuff. So I did I did the change for him, but I told him hold tight because I have a good group of students that are working on a logo for him, and we can show him some more options when we're ready. Okay, so maybe by Wednesday we'll see what everyone has, and we'll take it from there. So this was the final kind of analysis where we left off. All I did, I just changed the six to the letter S, and we did this in class last Wednesday. And this was, from before and after, if you want to see the kind of the changes we did. Okay. Before, after, and then from this we came up with this. So from the number 6 Toronto Sixers to Toronto Sixers, and he wanted the CN Tower integrated there. It does represent Toronto a lot. It's our landmark, so we definitely that was like a nice added bonus of the actual design. And the back, I just complemented the same thing just by inverting the blue and the white and making it go like a horizontal. So it shows the Toronto Sixers logo that way. So that's how we did this business card. Again, if you haven't seen the video, it was last Wednesday. We did this in person in class. So this is the virtual session. So I'll do another exercise with you, and Wednesday we'll do another one. So we got a lot of classes coming up because it is still the beginning of the semester, and I'm getting you comfortable with the software. Whereas later on, as we progress through the semester, you will have some downtime, and Wednesday is supposed to be like your lab work day, right? So I'll make sure I give you some time to do that in class. So let's go ahead and minimize this one. Do you have any questions about this one at all? Okay, so this is hope you guys are doing okay with this, or you started already. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, Wednesday we can wrap it up. Yes, Carla, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to know, it's
Mhm.
it's it's just to create the logo, or we need to add the information, the contact information, like on the Sixes business card.
So that's a good question, Alexandra, or Carla, I should say. The logo is what I'm looking for, but to present anything, like it's nice to put it on a business card format. So just for the added presentation piece, I did include the 3.5 by 2 business card. But you can make like if you want to do a business card that looks like that, if you don't want to put the name, the phone number, and all that, you don't have to. You can do something like I showed you earlier. This could be this could be your design, okay? You just put the logo on a background. That's fine. If you want to go a step further and show me the front and the back, it's optional, but I'm looking for the format and the size. You understand?
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Okay. So you can just do something like this. Very simple, black, any color, white background, blue logo or whatever, as long as it's presented in some way. The dimensions I put 3.5 by 2 business card, and that's a good presentation material. Okay, so let's go ahead and do today's lesson. So once you downloaded that folder, I like to open it up and see what's there. So I'm going to minimize this window. We're just messing around here in Photoshop earlier. So logo exercises. If you downloaded this, it'll uncompress a folder. Now we did the MasterCard logo last week. Okay, we did some of these already. This was another example of getting fonts online, which I covered last class. This is some more advanced techniques that I'll show you today. This is some more advanced techniques too with the Pathfinder tool and some other examples that you can include doing this stuff. Now, Wednesday, I did expose a website that you can use for searching fonts, and that's called Da Fonts. Okay, Da Fonts is a great website that you can get free fonts and resources to create logos. So if this helps you get the logo done, please feel free to use this as your resource. Okay. So let's say we want to do something like this, right? Well, this is a very simple one to do because you do like an invert design. This we did the first class, the MasterCard with the two circles. We just wrote the text. So I'm not gonna repeat this one, but this one maybe I'll do these other ones to show you how I did them. So this one, for example, is a very simple negative and a positive invert design. So I looked for a font that I'm looking for. I went to Illustrator. Let's create a new file. This is a business card size. So we're gonna go business card. I'll go to print and select the business card this way by selecting inches, 3.5 by 2 inches in size. And that's a business card format. Okay. All right. So basically to do that, this technique here that I'm showing you, I'm gonna drag it in here to show you better. All right. So how do we do something like that? Well, we identify the font or the font that you think would be good to use for the logo. And if I want to do, I don't know, I'll put logic. I'll separate it in two words. So there's key or logic. I'm going to option drag this, make a second one. With the option key, I'm able to duplicate stuff. Logic board, okay? So maybe I'll do something like this. They're both separate. I'm going to pick a pretty interesting font to use. Maybe this one. I'll make this a little bigger. Do these have well, they do have a bold version. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the semi-bold option here. Okay. And if you see this, it looks like a basic like a heading or like some kind of a writing on one line. To make it look like a logo design such as that one, a good thing I have it separated. If not, just kind of cut and paste it so it's a separate design, right? But what this can be is basically I'm going to create an additional shape, like a rectangle or a rounded rectangle, and basically surround my design that way. And with the selection tool, if you click on these little corners, you can round it up like that. So it looks like an actual, block on top of the text. Now this is in front, so you can't really see black on black. But if I change this color to white, let's say, or any other color, like maybe yellow or something, right? So you can see it better. What I have to do then is basically right click, arrange, bring to front. So please remember, object orientation is very important in this program. So you have to definitely bring things to the front or send things to the back as you move forward, okay? So then this would be the design that you want to maybe incorporate and make a logo out of it, right? Um, and again, if this was white or yellow or whatever, this can work as well. You can go take it a step further. Like basically, this is still considered, you know, like a type or a font on top of an object element. To make this transparent, like it's punching a hole through, what you have to do is converting this into outlines. A lot of times you go what's called create outlines. This is what makes logos very special because once you create outlines, right? Once you create outlines, what you have now is an object. See the difference between objects and text. That means I can't edit this anymore. I can't make it bold, italic, or regular. Whereas this is already a font. I can still edit this, but this one is outlined, so it's done. You can't go backwards unless you press Control Z, right? But other than that, once you do this, you save the document, it's done. Okay. It's interesting how somebody designed this font because I can see how they utilized some of the objects to make this happen. Pretty interesting. Whoever made this font used objects like ours to make this work. See, they used some interesting things. The purpose of me doing this is so I can select this a logic word and use my Pathfinder palette. Pathfinder is how you merge objects together. So basically, this becomes one by clicking this. This becomes one solid object. In return, I want to punch this through this object in the back. So first, I unified this by pressing to Unite. Once it's united, I select both of these, which means the yellow and the black background. And this time I'll use the second option, which is minus front. And that'll punch a hole right through, unless something else happened here. Well, see, you can punch a hole like that. I have another little thing I missed here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and there was an option there that I missed. So let me try one more time here. No, that's fine. No problem. Maybe if I go to make a compound path, you probably don't have to worry about this, but I'm just doing it for kind of like troubleshooting purposes. Again, punch a hole through it. Something's wrong with the shape here. Something is wrong with this one. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the font that's built into this. So it's got to be the fonts. Anyways, not to worry. But you get my idea, right? You can punch a hole through a font, and then you have something like that. All right. And if this becomes a problem, then leave it white on black. You don't have to punch a hole through it if you don't need to. If you do, then there's other methods I can come across. But for now, this is good. And you can achieve any type of font design or logo design using this Pathfinder method. Pathfinder would be your best friend when it comes to doing this. But do remember that I mentioned everything that I'm showing you in the actual assignment and details. Type to create outlines is the main key, which I just integrated. And the Pathfinder palette is what I'm using to make this happen. So the Pathfinder tool, okay? So make sure you integrate the Pathfinder tool to get all these things done. This is no different. It just has a different font with a different arrangement of letters. I can do this with, let's say I take the word board. I can do the same thing by creating outlines. Once it's outlines, then you can what's called ungroup it. Because if you ungroup it, then you can move the letters separately, right? So you can have a like a different type of design if you wish. Okay. So you can really shift things around only if you ungroup the letters. So again, if it's grouped, you can group. Usually it's grouped by default when you create outlines. What you have to do is ungroup. Okay. Um, yeah. Group or ungroup. And then you can move them around. Of course, we use different colors. So that was some of the designs that were done on that particular logo example. Some of the other stuff, well, this was on a different background, so we just put a background and put it on there. This is no different. Okay, so we did it on the long board, logic board. You see this a lot on baseball, football, or just sports theme in general. You see a lot of letters integrated together to form like a, like an actual initial or the meaning of a logo with two letters. A lot of people use their initials to do this. If you look at some of the, I don't know, maybe even Calvin Klein logo, right? You can see a lot of these Calvin Klein logos have a similar thing like CK or even fashion logos in general, but fashion logos, right? A lot of them do have the unification of the two letters, like Under Armour, Chanel, Dolce Gabbana, Gucci. They all have a similar thing with the word mark and the way they're integrated with one another. So maybe get some inspiration from some of these fashion examples if you can. Like Chanel's pretty cool. So to do something like this is really simple. You just simply go to Illustrator. You put let's put the letter C together here. I don't think this is like the right font, so I'm gonna go ahead and find something more rounded, perhaps something more like this. right? Acumen. I'll grab this C. Right away, I'm going to go to type create outlines. Once it create outlines, it becomes like an object. So it'll become like a logo, like this one, for example, right? Now I'm going to grab this C. I'm going to option drag it to make a duplicate of it. And then I'm just going to simply grab it and do one of those. What's called a crossover. Now you don't have to eyeball it, but I'm doing it just to show you how fluent this can be, because you can kind of do this and make it even, right? So you know for a fact it's the same thing, right? That's even more round, by the way. So maybe my font choice wasn't the greatest. But then again, you can also stretch it as well to a point to make it look like that. I mean, as long as you find the right font or the right purpose, you can make this work. And of course, you add the word Chanel, simply a separate letter, Chanel, and there you have your mock-up. How do you think they do all those copycats, aftermarket replicas and stuff, right? They probably they probably call it Chamel or something, and then they sell the brand without getting legally responsible. They just simply change the spelling or something like that to get in the black market. Or sometimes they leave it legit and they do some stuff. But basically, you can recreate almost anything or come up with your own creative design as I asked you to on that project. The last thing you might want to do with something like this is select both of them and unite them together so it becomes one object. So now Chanel became unified as a logo. So whether it's San Diego or Chanel, it's the same thing. To achieve this effect, though, you might have to let's do the New York Yankees logo here. We'll do Times New Roman, right? And then option drag changes to the Y. There you have the New York logo, right? Whichever way you want to phrase it, right? So for that one, you could do, let's integrate some colors in this. The New York Yankees logo look like, right? I'm forgetting. Right. So it is kind of crossing over. It is a unique font as well, though. It's a little more slimmer and stuff. Anyways, you can do whatever. This is not the right font, I think. So I'm just going to leave it like this. The point again is to have maybe a different color, right? So let's go ahead and change these two colors to something else. And the way I did this San Diego version is I gave these a white outline. So instead of here it's having no outline, I'm going to go give it a pink outline. See how it's pink? Well, I'm going to go with white. I'm going to lower the stroke to 0.5. 0.5 means, half a point, obviously. And then by having this white stroke, I mean, it looks good on a different background instead of a white background. But to really elevate it like I did with the other one, what I did was first let's group them together. Um, well, why can't I find group? I just use a shortcut, Command G. Okay, so once they're grouped together, you go to Effect, Stylize, and we do what's called a drop shadow. And this is quite intense. So I'm gonna put it down to 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. Opacity is 55. This will really make it smaller. 0.1. I don't suggest you do this on your logos because drop shadows, I mean, you don't see a lot of fonts or logos with drop shadows. But in case you want to elevate it somehow, you could use the technique of putting a stroke and a drop shadow to make this happen. I did want to show you that, right? So it's a little bit different. Just change the colors around here so it looks a little more fun, right? These together. Command G is group, or Control G, by the way, just in case you're looking for the right shortcut. So you can do any kinds of these variations. Now, this becomes a little more tricky, these logos here. But these ones, a lot of sports logos, like I just did one for the Yankees. This is called a double stroke method. So the double stroke includes you having two objects in front of one another. I'll use a number for that, like you see back of a jersey, or even a letter might work. But let's use the letter X. Okay, let's type X here, like that, and this will become our main focal point. And let's convert this into outlines right now by going to type, create outlines. Notice how this is a common trend that I do when I do logos. I always create outlines. So now the X is outlined. Then I go ahead and establish a stroke. Tuck this over here, the Pathfinder, my palette. By giving it a stroke, I go over here and I give it a nice stroke. Perhaps I do like a nice red outline. I increase it quite heavily, like a 4-point stroke. I know it looks a little too heavy, but here's my trick. I'm going to copy and paste this on top of itself. So you have a copy, and I move it right in the top location of where it originally resides. Then what I do is I change the color to something else. In this case, I'll do yellow or even white, and I reduce the stroke amount quite a bit, maybe to like 1. That will result in a double stroke method. And this will give you the nice result. So if you're doing like sports logos or jerseys, all you're doing is putting one thinner stroke on a heavier stroke, and that'll give you that exact effect. There's a lot of cool little effects you can do as long as you know how to kind of orchestrate it and put it together, right? Now, to do more advanced stuff like, I don't know, type on a path, logos maybe don't require you to do this kind of stuff. But if you do want to do that, you could technically draw a circle. I'll just draw a circle here like that. Any circle or object that you draw, move it over here on the side, and you use this tool here called type on a path, not the normal type tool, but the type on a path tool. And if you click on the top corner of the circle, it'll automatically convert that into text. Okay, so then I'm gonna go ahead and make this smaller, right? I'm gonna hit copy, paste, okay? And I can just literally put text on top of whatever and make this an actual part of my logo design. I can rotate it, right? I can put it in the right spot. I can make this a little bigger perhaps, right? So if you have to do a logo that entails some more decorative type of designs, maybe a ribbon or a label design, you could include type on a circle. Like there's nothing you can't do in this program, okay? When it comes to logo design, you can show me almost anything out there and we can recreate it, okay? And I'm just going some of the more important, necessary techniques, because from these techniques, you can stem other type of possibilities, right? That's why I'm showing you the more common practices of excluding, punching holes through, objects, unifying objects, double stroke effects, stroke and drop shadow, circle on a path. These are the most common things you see out there, right? And then you have something like this. It's more like dimensional design. Like it looks like there's a perspective on this one, like a shadow effect. For that, you have to understand how gradients work. And I guess I'll explain gradients right now since we're learning how to do logos. Now, logos should be, this is enough for you to know. You don't have to do this next one, but let's just say you want to challenge yourself and learn something more advanced. You could learn how to use the gradient tool. The gradient tool is obviously a mix of more than one color and a combination to create like a gradient fade effect. So we'll do the actual, I use the normal type tool for this one. I'm just going to click type, capital letters, shadow. I'm going to use my selection tool and make this nice and large like that. Now, judging by this looks here, this looks pretty bold and heavy. So I should consider that when I, generate this design. So what I'll do is pick a bold, heavy font. One of the boldest fonts that comes to my mind is Impact. Impact is a very, very Impact. There we go. Impact is a very, very heavy font, which really brings weight to almost any type of lettering that you can think of. And in that case, you'll have the shadow logo looking like that. Just gonna keep all these, make some space available here. It's like we're doing an advertising board for all these sponsors. Right. Group. All right, there we go. Make yourself some space here. We're just practicing. So the thing of what we should do with the shadow first is again create outlines. Because without outlines, we can't do the transformational process, which is required for the next step. So I'm going to go to type, create outlines, and that's that. Then we're going to copy this with option. I'm going to option drag to make a copy of it. And I'm not going to do this, cross it over. I mean, I could do that, but I want to show you something more, maybe more uniform. So you don't really distort it at will like that, because it's maybe not too professional, to be honest with you. But if it works like it did with the Chanel, it's fine. In this case, let's do it like, let's flip it. So I'll show you how to do it from the menu perspective, which is under Object, Transform. Remember, every time you're transforming objects, most of the stuff happens here under this menu. Now you can do it manually with the shortcuts I've shown you. But if you just do this and you go like reflect, means a reflection, which could result in a shadow or any type of reflection that you can possibly think of. I'm going to do reflect, and I'll do a vertical reflect or horizontal. Well, horizontal, because to do a vertical flip, we need a horizontal axis. The axis will go like this. This is the x-axis. This is the y-axis. So to flip something vertically, we're using the horizontal axis. That's why it's horizontal. This is a preview. So you're going to see what it looks like. And always, always, always press the copy button. So you have like a duplicate of it. Because you could have done it on the original, just deleted the extra one. You know what I mean? Always do a copy and then line it up to where it's supposed to go. Now, if it's being stubborn, you can use the arrow keys on the keyboard and line it up perfectly. I hope by now you're into the habit of using a mouse. I can't do this without a mouse. I can use my trackpad on my keyboard. I have a nice big trackpad on my MacBook Pro. But honestly, I like to use my trackpad when I surf the internet or when I do basic file management. When I'm doing production work in Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, or whatever, I always use my mouse. So, and my left hand is used for keyboard shortcuts. So in conjunction with my keyboard and my mouse, I'm able to do lots of things. And this is why I want you to teach you all the proper practices into doing this properly. So I took the shadow, I picked a bold font like Impact. I outlined it. I made a duplicate. I flipped it, basically used the reflection command. And now I'm going to use the gradient tool. So instead of black, that's why I want these tools to be not one column, but two columns. So I can show you all the way here. It's called the gradient. See in the middle? When you apply the gradient, you'll get the mix of two colors, which means if you go to the gradient, yes, there's a gradient tool. If you swipe the tool from here to there, or the other way around, let's go from bottom to top, you get to create a gradient blend. Like that. So again, gradient tool, and you can go from top to bottom. Maybe from here to there. You can like do this any way you want. Okay, you don't have to click and do it again. Just hold the mouse, shift keeps it constrained, and like that. My apologies, guys. I'm so congested right now. Okay, let me try it again. Right. Okay, whatever. I think that works. Shot. I can always move. Oh, this is individually, so you can even move these individually around if you wish. I don't know if you want to do that. This is a little extra here, but yeah, you could affect the gradients individually if you wish. So it looks a little more of a customized shadow reflection look. Either way, that's the look. But if you notice, we're not quite done because it does have like an angular type of finish. So for that to happen, first what we did what's called skew. Skew is basically, I think I did this in the last class. I italicized something on purpose. There's a special tool that Illustrator has that's located under here, under the scale tool. It's called shear. I call it skew because it's the old terminology. Shear and skew are the same things. What shear does, it basically creates a italicized type effect or a shear effect. That's what the word means. But what that means is instead of the center being here, you have to reposition a center here using this shear tool, having this shadow part selected. I'm going to click on the baseline, click once, creates the position, like the pivot point. Then when you click the second time, you grab the bottom and you move it left or right. Now it gets jumpy, so I do recommend you hold shift with the other hand to keep it steady. That's the only way this will work. So if you hold shift and you do this, then you have something that looks more like the shadow effect. Lastly, you can select both of them. I'm going to select the group feature here. Go back to shear, click on this point and move the bottom this way so it looks like an actual shadow effect. This is something you want to kind of play around with and get used to it because there's no right or wrong. It's more like experimental. Nonetheless, that's the effect you're going to end up with if you follow these steps accordingly. So I strongly recommend you practice or try this out. I mean, you don't maybe necessarily need to create a shadow effect, but it's good to know how to do all these things because you never know what the expectations are from something that you're trying to complete. So this is my logo sample board. I'm gonna save it as that. Save it onto my desktop as an Illustrator document. Right. Maybe I can do the MasterCard logo one more time just for review purposes because I pretty much did everything. So remember the MasterCard logo was, let's move this over here. It was the two circles, right? One circle here. Let's color that circle red. Option drag. Here's the other circle. This circle will be orange, right? And there's a point where these two intersect one another, right? It's a little smaller here. And where these two intersect is where we put the MasterCard logo, right? But to have this intersection show up, okay, what you have to do is you have to select both objects. I'm just going to move this out a little bit more. So we have to separate this. Now, one other way that's you know, available for you to extract this middle point here is to include the Pathfinder palette, the Pathfinder, and you want to use this option here. So not the primary Pathfinder tools, but the secondary ones that I find quite useful. And it's called basically divide. What divide does, it'll divide all the shapes that are overlapping, intersecting, or coexisting with one another. All you have to do later is right click, ungroup it, And now you have this shape extracted separately, which then all you have to do is go over here and change it to like a darker orange or a different color of a variation to have the logo done. Now, then you simply right click, regroup it, and I have the logo done. That's how you can do the MasterCard logo or any logo for that matter. Of course, you add the word MasterCard. Right. So white lettering, myriad fonts, lowercase. I'm just going to go hit click. Now, don't click inside the object because you're going to convert it into a text box. Be careful. Rather click outside and then move it inside, okay? I know it worked for me, but I would err on the side of caution and do it here. Master card. And this will be on top. And of course, the font for this one is going to be, I think we'll go with like a Myriad Pro, semi-bold italic. I think that's what it looks like. And then we'll change it to a white type of color. What the MasterCard logo can look like. Now, sometimes you want to put like register, let's say you're doing this professionally, you want to put the registered trademark logo and stuff. So for that, what you can do is go to type. You can go to glyphs. Glyphs are the special characters that come with all these special programs. So what you do is you come here and you look for the MasterCard, for the trademark or the copyright logo. In this case, I think it's up here somewhere. Here it is. A little small to find out. But anyways, what you have to do to execute this is you have to click and just once you click on the text, you double click and it'll type the registered trademark for you. You can also do trademark TM. You can also do registered trademark, right? Double click, I think is how you do it. And then you have the registered trademark. Again, this is under glyphs. Type glyphs. In case you're looking for those special characters to execute for the logo to look more authentic, such as the MasterCard. It is a trademark or registered trademark logo, right? That's more like the added touch to this stuff. All right. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things you can do with these logos. It's just a matter of, how you go about executing it, coming up with the right ideas, the right plans, and just putting your, techniques together and getting comfortable with the software. All right, so I'm going to save this again and exit this part for now. Any questions so far? Now we're normally going faster because I'm not being interrupted here. You're not asking me questions. I'm just keep on plowing on way. But please stop me at any time if you do have any questions. If you want me to go over one more time. The good thing is we're recording the session, so you can always watch it later at a slower pace and try all the techniques I demonstrated, step by step. All right. So now, let me just talk about next week a little bit because Wednesday I do want to set you up for this other technique that we're going to learn. That's going to be the Android, which is somewhat class 3, which is this week. But I wanted to focus on the logos more because that's your assignment that's due Wednesday. So after that, I wanted to tackle this stuff here. So this is your Android logo, and that's the one we're going to create on Wednesday. This will teach you other techniques that you can kind of um, integrate with what you already know and know how to split objects, work with objects, and do some other interesting things. Um, yeah, so we're gonna get into the tracing part later in class number 4, and we'll do some logo challenges, which are very, very helpful to learn some more advanced techniques. And then class 5, we do the UI kit. This is another exercise or assignment that you're gonna do. And the last project will be the Illustrator banner. Okay, so that one's gonna be over here. Let's see here. The main projects. Okay, it'll be the application splash banner. So that's the one you're gonna go ahead and create. I think I showed you some samples of this one. I'll show you some other ones. And this will wrap up our halfway through the semester. Okay, so once we do the logo, we got the UI kit. We're gonna embark on that journey. And then I'm gonna talk about the application splash banner. I mean, you might want to think about this now. So let me just quickly go over it with you. So I think I already talked about this a bit in the first class because we didn't have the software installed. You're going to make an application splash banner for the next version of the new launch of the software, which is Illustrator. Okay. The purpose of this assignment is to show you the real potential of the software's tools and capabilities to create digital drawings. You can utilize all the techniques you'll learn throughout the semester and generate a software banner for the next new release of Adobe Illustrator. This also has a real potential as many creative banners are chosen with Behance website network, and you can publish the same thing to generate a lead towards the next potential pick. This is your PDF. The size is 700 by 500 pixels. So keep this in the back of your minds. I know you're not there yet with your skill level because you're doing the logo still, but after the logo is done, you're going to be thinking about this project and the UI kit, which will teach you some more fundamental techniques, which you can include in your websites and mobile designs and things like that you're learning this semester. But this is a real creative piece. You can really, really put this to good use. And even in your creative portfolio, it's good to have this in there. All right, just to show you some more existing Illustrator splash banners. So application, splash banners. Well, a lot of them have the simple ones. This is like, from, Uber to DoorDash, they just have the simple one door. I mean, the one logo thing. But if you're doing the software application splash screen, it's a little more in depth. Let's do Illustrator. This is the current one. So this was picked from, I'm sure, a designer or a student by Truth on Dribble. So this is what they picked for the was an abstract design Illustrator. This was the one back in 2021. Pretty interesting one as well. There's another one here. This was another one back in 2018. That's a pop-up menus here. Right? This is another one there. So this is your final project for this class. When you learn all the drawing methods and all the tools, you're going to be capable of creating something more elaborate, more detailed, and a little more of an illustration masterpiece of your own. So from the logo, we're going to work our way towards this. And I will show you some student projects. I think I showed you a few in the first class. And if not, I'll show you some other ones next time. But right now, I don't want to overwhelm you. I want you to think about the logo project that's due this week. And you can look at some other ones here just by Googling Illustrator application splash banner. Alrighty. All right. So do you have any questions? All right. So that wraps up our tonight's evening session. I'm going to stop the recording. This will be posted as soon as I have the option to upload it on YouTube and put it on our channel. In the meantime, I wish you all a safe night, a good night at that, and I'll see you later on this week. Hopefully, I'm better. Otherwise, I might virtually do this. I'll do a posting online, and I'll keep you posted. All right, so bye for now, and I'll see you next class.